This video is brought to you by Margex. Now, they've been a big supporter of the channel for a long time, going on probably 2 years. I really like the exchange when it comes to leverage trading. If you know, the main reason is because, well, no, it's not the main reason. One of the big reasons is because of all the tools, how easy it is to use. I mean, I was using this, going on 2 years ago when I was still learning. And the thing is, they have a live demo account that you can use. That is one of the biggest things that I like, so that you can learn how to leverage trade, learn how to use the tools without risking any of your own money until you're comfortable and you think you're good enough at it to use it for real. There's description or links below in the description that can give you some bonuses when you sign up. Also, you don't have to fund it with a ton of money like you do with other exchanges in order to get those bonuses. It's like 0.004 of a Bitcoin, up here, which is like $150. You get this $50 bonus, and then you get another $50 bonus for signing up with my link below. So $100 lets you get started. Free demo account with, I think, 2 or 3 Bitcoin in it to learn. Great exchange. Check it out, and they are bringing you today's interview or video. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am Satoshi Sheen, and we're here with Colin Pape from Presearch. We have it's a cool thing. This is Colin Pape from Presearch, which interview is going to kind of be in 2 parts because there's a lot of stuff that we could go over and just kind of unpack with him as a person, as well as Presearch and with their community and what the problem is, and then what they're trying to solve. It's a lot, and I think we've all kind of grown to understand how big of a problem is and how big this thing has in our lives, which 10 years ago, it wasn't 20 years ago, we didn't think it was that big of a deal. But now, we know whoever controls information, they really control the populace and what people think. The word disinformation gets thrown around so much. And I kind of get sick of hearing it because in the context. But then when you see people that are like out protesting, that are out in the heat, that are working, and they have for the complete wrong reasons. Like, I watched a YouTuber, that AK guy. He went out to these, people that were protesting out in the Houston heat. It was like 100 degrees, and they're like, and he said, so what do you think? It's like, people shouldn't just be able to walk in and buy an automatic weapon, machine gun, with no background check. And I was like, who thinks you could do that? And all these people, they think you could do that. So much so that they were out there ready to fight people. And it's just, they already have what they want. They just don't have the information to know that it exists. Mm-hmm. That's Presearch. How are you doing, Colin?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, Sean.
I've been wanting to have you on for a while. My buddy Rice has been talking you up a lot, and I like what you're doing over there. If you could just quick give me, the usual, a little bit of spiel about yourself and where you came from, and then just the basic idea of what Presearch and how it came about.
Sure. Yeah. So personally, definitely very libertarian, and like to promote as best we can freedom and liberty. And grew up in kind of an entrepreneurial environment. My parents owned a business. I got into the internet as a teenager in the late 90s and early 2000s. And back then, the internet was more, I would say, of kind of an open space. Wasn't really controlled by these walled gardens. And it really felt like there was a new paradigm as far as information sharing and access to just, unlimited channels to connect with people and to learn things. And it was really, I would say, kind of the golden age of the internet, and that age really sticks with me. And so now, fast forward 20 years, and we're in this environment where we've got these walled gardens and these huge big tech companies with massive network effects that are largely, kind of controlling the access and distribution of information. And what we've seen over the past 2, 3 years, in particular, with censorship and deplatforming and just controlling information to correspond to an official narrative of an establishment, I think really kind of demonstrates the need for a search engine and for many information access and sharing tools that are just more oriented to the people, and things that I think of as almost like a public utility versus these kind of closed, controlled, profit driven and beholden to Wall Street entities that seem to kind of have no real accountability to the users, to people in general. And Presearch, I think, could really be one of those resources for people that they can count on to provide them with access to all the information, and where they can actually play a part in it and help to steer it, help to make it better, and to have more insight into how it works, so that it's more beholden to everybody, rather than here's what it is, you get what you get. You can't stop us because we're so big and we have a monopoly and we have this huge moat around us, and we're in bed with all the powers that be. And so you better kind of like what we're dishing out, because that's all we're dishing out.
Oh, you mean like they're supposed to tell us how to think, and that's just the way it is? That's crazy. No one would think that happens.
And I think that the dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Yeah, if you look at the issues.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's our job.
They don't even know that, it's like, or they don't care anymore.
They're so warped that I don't even want to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
So can you, I remember when there were so many search engines, when they were all on equal footing.
Yeah.
I'm very old. I'm an old person.
I hear you.
But, I remember Google was like, oh, Google, that's a number. That's like the biggest number. That's funny.
Yeah.
Nobody got the irony in the beginning of what Google meant. And I thought that was one of the funniest things. Remember Dogpile, and were all these little search engines, and how cool it was. That I remember, like you were talking about, it was this weird, and it's never going to come again. I mean, it will when we, like meet aliens, and we step into that community. But the connection was just mind blowing, and to be a person. There's a word for people like me. I forget what it is. It's derogatory, but it's like I'm one of the last generations that grew up before the internet was invented.
Yep.
Like if I wanted to know something, it just sucked. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you can go to the, get a ride to the
library. Yeah.
Spend hours finding out.
Yeah.
But to just instantly be able to talk to someone or meet someone.
Yep.
That is not on vacation. I can meet someone. I started talking to someone. They're like, "Oh, we're in Alaska," and I was like, "Oh, who's wanted to go to Alaska?" And then they sent me a picture as I watched it download. For like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
2 minutes. I'm going to see this picture.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was so amazing. I didn't know them. We weren't on vacation. They were in Alaska. I was at home. Nobody was in prison and had to be a pen pal. And I met them, I got to know them, and then they sent me a picture of like their where they lived. It was this just amazing time. Um, and we take so much of that for granted, but I think that was one of the biggest problems is the explosion of information and technology that we had then, and we were so innocent that we just like, oh, this is great, peace and love, and everybody. And then there were these vultures that were
Yes.
like, oh man, we are going to exploit the crap out of this. We're going to use this to take control. And nobody, very few people saw it coming. And they did shout from the mountaintops, and like, oh, you guys are silly. No one can control this. And now there's so many crazy things that are coming out. So that's one of the reasons why I think that Presearch is so important. And I had looked at some interviews that you had done, stuff you had talked about, and I remember when DuckDuckGo came out, it was like a savior, and it was so transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And we can hit on that for a minute because I don't want to go too long, but I still use DuckDuckGo because it's, I think, better than Google. But they used to show you. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but they're like, hey, if you look up whatever, it could be something innocuous. You don't have to look up like or something. You can look up anything, and it would show you. Here's the first 10 things that we're showing you, and that's down here in the third page of Google.
Mm-hmm.
You had and you even you get reports like when you search this through Google, 18 things got blocked, 4 things got blocked, and that's all gone. And that was a red flag for me when I saw that transparency leave. And then to hear about the people that are now backing DuckDuckGo, like you said, they're beholden to these venture capitalists and to to those people that were those vultures that were in the dark, rubbing their hands together menacingly and wanted to stop it. So if you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the things that got me so excited about crypto and kind of this ability to create a token that would enable you to crowdfund something and where you could kind of build this utility around a token and kind of pre-sell it basically like a Kickstarter for a digital service, and you could bypass those kind of traditional sources of capital that would enable companies like Google and DuckDuckGo to get off the ground, and really kind of keeps you aligned with the community, and ultimately enables the community to have a really strong voice within the ecosystem, and it's not like a secondary voice that just kind of diminishes with time because in the early days, individual users were important to Google and to DuckDuckGo as well. But then as they get bigger and bigger, I mean, those voices become less important because there's so many of them. And, they end up at that point, just, they're answering to that board of directors and that very limited kind of group who have backed them and basically end up with control of the companies. And I think there's probably good intentions in a lot of cases. I mean, the Google founders, they're fairly libertarian, and they've been to Burning Man for tons of times. Like they're not like suits per se, but at the end of the day, they took capital from some really big VCs and supposedly some alphabet agencies, and ended up going public on the stock market that is Wall Street's in Wall Street's control. And with DuckDuckGo, same thing as far as being backed by Union Square Ventures and some of the largest pension funds in the world. And when it comes down to it, that's who they answer to. And the difference with something like Presearch, where it's crowdfunded, it's community driven. Ultimately, the community can kind of make or break the actual kind of overall brand and organization and economic model in a way that really gives them a lot of say in how things go. And so you've got to remain aligned, or you kind of get kicked to the curb. They can all dump your token, or they can kind of weigh in on your open communication channels. And then ultimately, uh, and what we've done recently as far as decentralizing our infrastructure and starting to power the whole platform with these user nodes. I mean, if they start shutting down their nodes, then that's going to cause problems. And it's really like Bitcoin. Ultimately, it's a voluntary system, and it gets bigger and bigger as more people participate and support its growth. But ultimately, it's not beholden to anybody except those participating people. There isn't like a behind the scenes that's calling the shots, or that has some kind of super voting rights. And that's not to say that currently Presearch is not centralized, because it is. And I'll admit, I've got control of the entity right now. And but the what I've put out there to the community, and the white paper and the vision papers that we've published, and in all the communications, is what the aspiration is, and what the values are, and that the plan is to turn this over to a DAO or some other type of organization that is made up of community members that have the ability to do all the voting. And honestly, I'm like a pretty reluctant leader. I don't, I'm not like a Mark Zuckerberg. I don't want to cling on to something until I have it by
Mark
the throat.
Zuckerberg is a Klingon? What?
I know, weird, right?
Yeah.
But
It does make sense. He
to me,
does
there's so many smart people out there, and a lot of people that really get the vision for this. And they've started kind of bubbling up within our community, and some of them have ended up becoming very key team members. And ultimately, as those people kind of make themselves present, more and more of the responsibility and the control and the decision making, and ultimately the technology and the network effects of that technology get turned over to that broader group. So
You said quote unquote suits, and I was we were talking earlier about just kind of the evolution of the internet of information. I think the term, I think suits has changed.
Right.
It was kind of a joke, that like with Ben and Jerry, they're these
Right.
super hippies, but they've turned into these these suits. And I think that in general, that what our idea of a suit has dramatically changed. It's not.
Yes.
It's a pseudonym now.
That's pseudonym. Yes.
You can you can be a hipster and sit on your your big ball instead of a chair at work, and
Yep.
but you're still running things and
Yep.
exerting your power over people and controlling information. If you could talk about you touched on the network, the nodes, all that, just how Presearch works, and what exactly the benefits are.
Sure. So there's kind of the long-term vision to have the entire thing be totally decentralized and open source and transparent. And that's kind of the destination. And when we wrote our original white paper in 2017, we said, hey, we're going to leverage to get the community and to build out a product. We're going to leverage big tech as much as we can, and then we're just going to be decentralizing things over time. And so the initial version of the platform, to power it, we've been leveraging centralized hosting services and things that have auto scaling and just enable us to do kind of a lot with a pretty small team by leveraging these tech stacks. But the end of 2020, we started building out a test net for this node platform that we just launched in mainnet form, which essentially enables people to download some software, the Presearch node software. They can install it on a computer or a server or a virtual server. And what it does is it essentially, connects to the network and lets the network know that it's got computing, resources available that can be used for the tasks that we could allocate to it. And so we've built out this system to enable people to download the software, join the network, and then we can send them. And to start, what we're doing is it's like a query processing kind of query handling system where we anonymize the query, so it removes all the identifying information, and then it sends out to them what the search request is, and then their node basically goes out to all these different resources, existing search engines, databases, APIs, and then retrieves all those results. And we have an algorithm that kind of mashes that all together, kind of like a meta search engine, and then returns the results back to the user. And then, if they're successful in that task, then they get a reward in the form of a Presearch token. And, over time, we'll be allocating different roles. So like the next one that's coming is a crawler role, which is as we start building out our own, fully decentralized index, having a decentralized crawling platform that can go out and retrieve all this information from all over the web, and then, start structuring it into an index that can be searched and have relevance, ranking factors attached to it. And so there's a whole bunch of things that are going to be coming in the future. But to start, what we now have is this network, and there's about 65,000 user nodes. So if you think of like 65,000 servers that you can utilize for all these different processing requirements, now we have, and then that reward system to incentivize people to continue to provide that computing power. Now we've got this kind of base level infrastructure that we can start utilizing for all the kind of longer term tasks that are required for building out a search engine. Because I mean, really, there's kind of like three real search engines in the world as far as having a full long tail search index of billions and billions of pages. For the most part, in order to build those to the level of like, a Google or a Bing, which are really like the two that are actually like commercially usable and kind of the top quality, like they both spent billions of dollars building out their indexes. And so it's really not a trivial task. It's not something that you can just kind of like wake up and do. You need that infrastructure, and for them, they build out these big, huge, centralized.
That's I was going to ask you if you could kind of talk about what they use and what they have versus what you just talked about.
So for instance, Google would have, I think they've got like 23 data centers around the world right now, and they're these massive, like hundreds of thousands of square foot facilities that have backup power. They've got all the cooling infrastructure, because there's a lot of heat generated, just like there is with Bitcoin mining, and it would be very similar to like a really advanced Bitcoin mining facility if people are familiar with those. They've got thousands and thousands of servers that are running there, and it's like a very controlled, like some of the most controlled environments in the entire world. And they spend hundreds of millions or billions building these, and then that gives them the computing resources that they need. In our case, we're decentralizing that, and we're saying, hey, we don't need it all in one place, which they would do for control and also for cost and kind of management capabilities. And that's just how you did it. Really, as this whole concept of cloud computing was starting to evolve. But there's another way to do it, which is, it's more software driven and enabling all those different machines to register in a network. And, a lot of this stuff is only possible now or more possible now because like all the home internet users, all the business internet users, they've all got crazy fast connections now. They've got tons of, RAM. They've got tons of file storage capability. They've got fast processors. I mean, my first server that I had, 2000, 2001, it was called a Cobalt Rack 4. It had, a 450 megahertz processor, and it had 512 megs of RAM. And, it ran Linux, or a version of Linux. But, it was like, man, a fraction of the computing power that I have in my phone now.
Yeah.
And so, we can make use of all this computing horsepower that exists all over the place, and just enable the software to manage it, rather than have these controlled hardware environments, or leveraging other people's clouds, like AWS, or any of the other ones that are out there that ultimately, can become a choke point if they decide, hey, we don't want you running on the service. Then that could potentially limit the communication that you have with your users. So
Yeah. And I think this is a very good time for Presearch. Talked about power. I remember when I had my first computer I built, and the guy was like, "Hey man, you want a spring for this half a gig hard drive? It's a little bit more than the quarter gig, but you
Wow.
you don't have to worry about space. Let me tell you, half
That's
a gig.
right.
All right, man." And it was ridiculous. I mean, it was like $200 or something for
Yeah.
half a gig hard drive. And then I'm just constantly upgrading. I remember it's like, I'm going to get a full 1 gig hard drive. I'm not going to have to worry about running out of storage for 10 years. 6 months later, I'm like, a new computer. Jeez.
Yeah.
But if you're that time,
Yeah.
everything was moving so fast. It was like 286,
Oh, yeah.
386, 46. We don't even care about 86s. There was the joke that you like walk out of, Best
Yeah.
Buy or Circuit City, and you got the top of the line computer. And by the time you get to your car, there's a new model
Yeah.
you got to go get.
That's right.
So things definitely have slowed down.
Yeah.
But we've been preaching decentralization because of money, because of Bitcoin, the financial system. And I think when people first put their toe in the water or look, it's not just about, it opens your eyes up to just the centralization and the evils of centralization, period. But I think with all the stuff that's went on in the world the past 2 years, everyone is now using words like decentralization.
Yep.
And because of, what has been allowed to happen, what, has happened, the control is just mind blowing.
Yep.
Because, and like, just like I had said, the term suits has changed. There was, when Canada kind of went on the totalitarian kick they did,
Oh, yeah.
police weren't like rounding people up, and there wasn't this old school way of doing things. They were just walking around with phones and using facial recognition software, and then that would connect to your bank, and
Yep.
they shut you down. No one
Yep.
had to even talk to you. You
Nope.
could be sitting there drinking a cup. That actually happened. They were standing. I think it was at a coffee shop, just scanning people. People are having coffee while they're completely oblivious. All this stuff is going on in the background. They're literally, it's like they're people are going in there, whacking them over the head and dragging them off to a dark room,
Yep.
all their information, and then doing all this. But that's not how it works anymore.
They don't need to.
Literally, they're just sitting there having a cup of coffee, and when they walk out, everything's frozen. All this has happened because of centralization. So people are waking up to that, and it's not just crypto bros and those people. It's regular mom and pops and grandmas and grandpas learning the ills of centralization, because power corrupts, money corrupts, and what the entities that we've given our trust to, they don't deserve it anymore.
That's right.
And they're definitely use it as a self-serving apparatus now, and it's not. it's not. They're not here to serve. They're and I refuse to use the word officials or stuff. They're public servants. There's need to call them what they are.
Yep.
And all power is derived from the people.
Yes.
And every now and then, and I mean like every generation or two, we understand that. And I think we're at a new critical point where we're learning that that's where the real power is.
Yes.
All you have to do is just not use it.
Yep.
Just walk away from it, and it has no power.
Loses its power. Yep.
Yeah. But I think what they're doing now with the separation and centralization is they're trying to, keep people away from other people so that
Yep.
they can, utilize their power.
Yep.
So if you could go over the Presearch token and kind of what your goals are next year to 5.
Yeah, so Presearch token is kind of the unit of value that's at the heart of the ecosystem. It's utilized for rewarding people when they search or when they contribute computing resources or help to grow the network by referring other people to become users of the platform. And, its basic goal is to kind of capture the value of the growing network and the utility of the ad platform and that ability for people to reach the Presearch audience. And I think kind of ultimately at least my vision for it, and it might end up evolving, the community might choose to go in a different direction, but I see that kind of the way out of this control structure, this Chinese social credit style kind of dystopian future that may be upon us, is to create parallel ecosystems, ones where we can transact with different currencies, where we can communicate with different, decentralized technologies, and where we can access, news and information and connect with other people through, different platforms that are oriented to the people. And kind of the common thread across all this is a need for the ability to access this information and to know what's available, and to enable people to build business models that can be sustainable and actually connect people with the goods and services and the assets that they need to realize their visions and their potential. And search and advertising and marketplaces, all these different platforms, along with social networks and communication channels, uh, provide kind of that framework and that ability to go beyond just the hyper local level. And so my hope is that more and more people kind of start working towards that vision as well, and that we can provide through Presearch kind of that level playing field and that open playing field, and a way for people to connect with others without being deplatformed or having a gatekeeper that's kind of standing in the way, either preventing you or extracting a toll, and kind of pulling that value out of that movement to build that parallel kind of network. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do. It's going to be a crazy
Getting a
few years,
reward,
but
getting a reward instead of paying a toll. It's pretty different.
yeah, that's
What does
right.
it take to set up a node and to run a node?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You go to nodes.presearch.com. It runs on just about any kind of hardware stack. Doesn't need any really significant resources or anything, and you download the piece of software that is available at the link, and it's got kind of all the information. It gives you a registration code. You input that. You do there's kind of two ways to do it. So if you're going to just provide the infrastructure without staking tokens, then there's no rewards paid. And we kind of use that as like secondary capacity, essentially. And we kind of preference those who have tokens staked to their node, because it's improved security. They've kind of got something at stake to prevent them from engaging in any kind of malicious behavior. But essentially, you download the software, you connect it through your registration code, you have your Presearch tokens that you buy either on an exchange somewhere, or you can buy it through marketplace.presearch.com, and then you allocate it to your node, and then kind of the rewards are based on the performance of your node, as well as the amount that you have staked. And you've got a dashboard, and it
How
shows
does
you all
staking
your
work?
rewards.
How much do you have to stake?
The minimum currently is 2,000 pre, which it's like 10 or 11 cents right now. So 250 bucks kind of thing.
Okay. And you can stake more and earn more?
You can. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So instead of hodling, you can.
Yep. A lot of people are doing it. We've got out of the 500 million supply of pre, there's over 200 million that are staked right now.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you if it's like trackable, because then it's.
Yep.
You want to take as much, out of circulation as you can.
Yep.
And also, growing the network, making things more scarce. It's a good model.
Proven model. Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, I think we'll wrap up that for now. And we could do another and expand more in like a week or so.
That'd be awesome.
I'll leave links below to all the stuff, your socials, all that's down below. Check out Presearch. That's about it for now. It was good hanging out with y'all. Look forward to seeing everyone in the next video. Remember to crush the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment so you're registered to win crypto. Give away crypto every week.
That's awesome.
At least every week on the crypto lunch break. But I also do it randomly. But you have to. I choose a random comment picker, so all you gotta do is leave a comment.
Perfect.
All right. You guys take care. I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks again, Colin.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Sean. Take care, man.